Alright guys, and welcome to the Portable Success podcast. Right, we're trying something a little bit new today. If you're listening to this on Spotify and iTunes and on podcast platforms, obviously you're not going to be able to see this, but you can already, if you want to, head over to my YouTube channel where I'm recording this as well. I'm trying it on a GoPro, which is a little bit different because I did some test shots and I'm so far away from the camera. But, you know, it is what it is. We like it. And it kind of merges into what I'm trying to talk about today, which is, it's a Gary Vee term, which, stop being fancy, stop being this, stop being that. And it's going to be my own interpretation of it in a way, because it's going to be obviously related to my experiences and why I think you should do things a certain way. And it's a reason for bringing the GoPro out. I've recently invested into 2 of these now. So, not just one. I had to go and get 2. It was because I was actually doing some filming for fight shows. So, obviously, I needed to be able to swap them over. But if you think, this was I think I got them for 100 and something quid. I don't even remember now. I think they might have been 180. So if you think it's about a £350 investment, just to essentially film fights. And the easiest thing that I could do is go get my big camera, go get my Sony and set that up and do the exact same thing. And it's not, the whole reason behind this, and I'm actually putting the entire podcast onto YouTube for a reason, is it's to not be fancy. Because if you've been around long enough, or even look at previous videos that I have done, previous content that I've done, you see me in the car a lot. This is my baby, this is my car. And this is actually how I set up one of my businesses, was within my car. There was no fancy offices, twizzly chairs, big computers. There was a laptop that would sit literally just between me and the steering wheel, and I would work from there, and I would use my phone as a hotspot point. And that's what I had to do. And it was funny because that has become a staple now of me as a person and how I give my content to people. And the reason for that is not the reason that people think it is. People think that because I was always on the go all the time, is that I would work between each place that I went to, which is slightly true, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth was because when I started doing this, I was in a job that the person who ran the place was not a very nice person. I never got along with her. I never liked her. To me, even her business strategy was shocking. All she was ever focused about was money. And in the industry that we were in, thinking that I worked with horses before this, in that industry, all I cared about was the horses. I was on my first ever paid full-time job. I think I got £11,500. That is nothing. That is absolutely nothing for the amount of work that I used to do. Obviously that went up across the years and it's gone up even more now, and now I'm kind of in control of my own salary and stuff, but it still had a very significant effect on me, because I was like, all you're bothered about is money. And the problem was, in that environment, because I lived there and she was there all the time, and I also lived with people that I worked with that I didn't want to know what I was doing, because I had no private life. It was like work, home. I lived with the people that I worked with. So if you had a crap day at work, you couldn't get away with it because, you couldn't get away from it, because you just go back to this house, and I'd go into this room that had fucking mold on the walls and stuff, and I'd be sat there like, why am I here? Safe to say I left that job. And it was just this car was the only thing that I owned that was 100% mine, and I could do whatever I wanted with. And that's essentially why I started my businesses in it. It was not even like, I'm trying to think about it. Like, it wasn't even like I'd get a phone call, pick up the phone, walk out the front door, regardless of what I was wearing. Sometimes I was only in shorts and a t-shirt, and walk to my car to take that phone call. It could be anything. It could be about the t-shirts that were coming in, or the hoodies, or, a photography client, or, social media client. It didn't matter. It was just in that certain scenario, my car was my business space. My car was my office. And it's funny how it's become such a staple in what everyone sees me as now. They Throat Punch Friday is done in the car. Most of my business calls are still done in the car. And now I have my own flat with my amazing girlfriend, and I don't have to hide that from her. She knows everything that I do, and I now work in a job where they don't frown upon you trying to make a living for yourself. And as long as you work hard at the job, they don't care what you're doing on the outside. And I never had that. And it just got me thinking back, because like when I started, and I would sit in the car and I'd be cramped, and I'd have notebooks in this, what I'm going to do. So notebooks here, the laptop here, still sat in the car park of where I lived. So obviously people coming in and out, trying to hide from those people. Sometimes I'd even drive to this one particular place that was free parking, so I could sit there and park my car in the corner and work. And it was mental, because everything for me at that point was about the horses and about expanding business. And it was crazy to think that, I was sat in a job where me and the rest of these girls got the same amount of money, and the way that we lived was completely different. And that's where I'm getting onto the point of, like, when people say to me that they can't start a podcast, or they can't start a business, or they can't start taking photography, or maybe managing a clothing line, or investing into social media marketing and stuff. And that's what really gets to me, because when I started, I didn't, this is what I had, this car, this was my office, this was everything to me. And I made it work, of course, I didn't do everything in this car. My laptop, I could, go into the bedroom that I had and type away on it. But the difference was, like, everything that I did at that time was to invest into those sorts of things. So it was investing into the sort of equipment that I needed. So it was upgrading my lenses and stuff. I wanted to do bigger, better shoots, more technical shoots, especially with fitness. If I wanted to do people running and stuff, I wanted, a camera that could deal with that, and high pace and stuff. And I was living with these people who, going through the years, this isn't just this one particular job, this is like people in general that I've lived with in the equine industry for 11 years. There was people that were more bothered about a takeaway and Starbucks coffee and like treats than anything else. And it was crazy, because we're on the same amount of money, and I was watching these people walk around in Tommy Hilfiger and Gucci and stuff like that, when I was literally looking at them like, you can't really afford to have those sorts of like £150, £200 pieces of clothing and go anywhere. And there's a lot of people that are still in that industry, and they love it. And that's the thing, if you love it, if that's what you want to do, cool, that's amazing, you do that. Like, I'm not saying on that point, because I know there's going to be one dickhead that points that out. It's just, there's so many people that would be doing shit like that and then turning around to me and going, this isn't the only thing I want to do in my life. And then I'm like, well, you're going the wrong way about it. Because, like, I invested over £1,000 into starting a clothing line that took 18 months to actually start making me money. Like, fucking think about that. People spend that, like, these people that I was around and that were my, you know, they were my direct pool of influence because I fucking worked there. Like, that was what I was around. And those people, you know, they were more bothered about buying that Gucci bag or, I don't know, spending like £100 on bedding, you know, like not a duvet and a pillow and, you know, things that you need, like just the duvet set. I did it once. I spent like, I think it was £89 on a duvet set. Yes, okay, it was one of my favourites for quite a while. But now I look back on it, I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? I could have ran Facebook ads for 2 months on that. Because I didn't spend a lot of money on Facebook ads. And yeah, it's just like, there's so many people who are earning like 15 to 20 grand and they're living with their mum and dad, or maybe the, you know, like the fortunate thing with the equine industry is you usually get accommodation with wherever you go, because you need to be there all the time. And they'd get that sort of amount of money and then they would basically wank it off, you know, and like, I'm sorry, you know, I'm like, sorry to be rude about it, but that's what they do. And for many years, that's what I did. I remember my first ever like full-time job that, you know, I got lucky. Like, I had my own 2-bedroom flat. I had dogs. I lived on a massive estate. I worked for very, very amazing people. I was around probably the best influence you could get in order to exceed, you know, to like make you see what the good side looks like. And I had that influence. And I remember looking at them and then I would try and live the lifestyle that they had. And you know, the funniest thing was, yes, they had interior designers come in and spend like £20,000, £30,000 per room or whatever it was. I don't actually know the numbers. You know, they would do stuff like that. But then they'd be walking around in a Gap sweatshirt and some maybe Pull and Bear joggers. So if you think like their entire outfit was maybe £100, and these people were worth a lot of money. And I remember sitting there with an ex-colleague, I think it was, and I was like, because at this point I was buying everything. I had like the latest Nike trainers. I was dead into my fitness, so I had literally every single month all my money went on either fitness stuff or like suits. I just had this obsession of like, if I wasn't in the gym, I looked like shit hot all the time. And I wasted all my money doing that because I didn't actually do anything with it. At this point, I wasn't asked about business. I was just happy doing my day job. And at that time, I actually played video games on Twitch. That was kind of what I did. You know, if I made any money, that was where it was from. Any extra money. And I remember talking to them and I was like, yeah, but you know, they could afford having Gucci and is it Versace or what, like all these massive brands, Rolex and everything. They could afford all that. Like, they could afford all that and it never make a dent in their pocket. Like, that's how rich they were. And I remember just speaking to this person, and they turned around and they were like, well, that's not what they value. And to this day, it took me so freaking long to understand what that meant. Because obviously in my head, I was like, if you have shitloads of money, you spend it. But that was a poor mindset. That was me being in a broke mindset, because obviously I was earning like 11,500 at this point. Like, I didn't have anything, you know? I didn't do anything really. And it's your total mind frame towards it. Like, this is gonna you're probably gonna turn around and go, oh, she's contradicting herself, no, it doesn't make sense. But especially when I started out, I spent a lot of money on technology. I've just told you that I spent nearly £350 on 2 GoPros, which, mind you, I've only used once, and this will be the second time. And I did that for a particular reason, because I need it for the fight events. Did I have to do it though? No. I could have got one of the cheap ones, the £40 ones, you know, and done it that way. I didn't want to though. I wanted the good stuff. I wanted, technology means a lot to me. You know, I have like the best camera equipment that I can get, the best accessories that go with it, because I'm very invested into the technology. But at the same time, 95% of my clothing or jewelry, as you can tell I don't have any on, I never pay full price. I mean, at the minute, this is a Vigor 8 top. This is a company that I work with, and the shoes that I've got on and I've had for 7 years now, and I've got Primark socks on. Like, these shorts weren't full price. I think they were 70% off. Like, that's probably my entire outfit is 30 quid and change. And it's just the way that it is. That's not where I want my money to go. I want my money to go on things like this, where I can actually do things with it. I can make content with it. But the thing, you know, people who tell me that they can't make a podcast, it's bullshit. I've got my phone recording the audio for the actual, if you're listening to this on Spotify and iTunes and stuff, that's where you're getting this audio from, is from my phone. And then I'm getting the video content from a GoPro so it can get put on YouTube. And that's just the way that it goes. And I don't have to do this. I didn't have to put it on YouTube anyway. I just wanted to. I wanted to be able to put it somewhere else, and so other people could see it potentially and stuff. But yeah, it's what you prioritize. So it was a very turning moment for me. So when I started to realize that, you know, I was different from other people and I wanted different things from other people, I was watching this direct influence of people around me that I was working with spend so much money on dumb shit. But that's not to them. It could mean a lot to them, but it just didn't mean shit to me. And that's when I realised things were different. I'd much rather invest £1,000 into my business, or invest £1,000 into new cameras or something like that. And that's why I kind of wanted to record this podcast as well. So if you are on Spotify and stuff, I'm going to try and describe it as much as possible. This is why I'm doing it in my car. Every single podcast episode that I record is in my car at the minute. I don't have fancy equipment. I don't have this. I don't have that. And I'm just showing you that you don't have to. It's like I said in my first book, you don't have to give up everything to be successful. You really don't. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Portable Success. I can't wait to see you soon. We have now changed. Before it was Tuesday and Thursdays I do podcast episodes. Now it's going to be just Tuesdays, because as you can tell from this, we've been going a lot longer and more in-depth about one subject or one viewpoint or something like that, because it was getting to the point that I was doing podcast episodes that were only like 8-9 minutes long. You never really tackled anything. You never really went into anything. It didn't really sometimes make sense. And I would much rather do more concrete, value-based podcast episodes for you than just kind of run my mouth for a little bit. Okay? I hope you have an amazing day, amazing week, month, year, whatever. You guys are the best thing since sliced bread. From me, Emily, in the car, Portable Success. See you in the next one.